West Ham take on Everton in this week's fixture with tough games after the international break against Newcastle and Arsenal. For me, this is a must win for Lopetegui. You know, he can't afford to lose this one. Joining me today is Dan. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, mate, not too bad, not too bad, not too shabby. Football, isn't it?
Yeah.
Football.
Well,
And we've just had the news that Kudus's ban has been extended for another 2 games. So, what a time to be a West Ham
hey,
fan, eh?
mate, West Ham trying to ruin the end of our year. That's all I can say. It's not doing too well, is it?
Mate, this game is huge
Mm-hmm.
for Lopetegui. It's huge for West Ham. We say must win so many times. It's a must
Yeah.
perform as well.
Yeah.
Must perform.
Mate, I'm with you. This is the thing. It's like you can take losing, right? You can take losing. If we sat here and saw um, a style of play start to be embedded, a style of play coming out, and good performances and good individual performances as well as the team performances that you see things, and we get beat by the better side, you can understand it. But we're not seeing any. I ain't seen anything. Honestly,
Yeah.
for me, we're no better off now to where we were this time last season, apart from probably a couple more points, and that was it. You know,
Yeah. I've before the start of the season, I wasn't thrilled about Lopetegui. But when he was here, I got behind him and I
mm,
supported him and defended him and said, "Look, he needs time. This isn't enough time to give him." But when when I'm looked at him, when I'm talking about, okay, you give a manager time and we may start slow. I'm thinking, results might not come so quickly,
mhm,
but we may see gradual improvements
mm,
in that. But my issue is, and this is why I've sort of changed my tune, even though I'm not calling for him to be sacked right now. But the reason why I've sort of changed my tune is because it's not just the results. I'm seeing no progress on the pitch
yeah,
at all. Like none, like nothing there to say, okay, well, this just didn't go our way, but we've started to look a bit more fluid. The team's coming together. We're still seeing just drastically different
mm,
starting 11s, and we're not seeing any clear identifiable style of play. So there's just no progress, and he's had the preseason with him. It's not like we see managers go into clubs and boom, they either get him ticking straight away,
yep,
or like Glasner did last season. It took a few weeks, and then
mm,
that's with no preseason. We see it time and time again. But he's come in. Apparently, he spent 6 months like watching West Ham, doing his homework. He had a dossier. He had all of this. Comes in with preseason, gets players that he wanted.
yep,
So he worked with Steiten to get players that he wanted, backed heavily, and look where we are.
mm,
And we can say about Kudus being injured, but not being injured, sorry, suspended. But when he had Kudus, he just kept playing him out of position.
yep,
So
yeah, yeah.
there's nothing where I can feel sorry for him when I can say, but this or but that. It's tough.
And that's the thing, mate. When you look at Everton, Everton are 2 points behind us, beaten two of the teams that we've beaten this season in Crystal Palace and who's got Ipswich, had zero really investment. They've lost players and lost good players. He lost a Nana who was key to their midfield. And this is the thing. We're potentially now going into this international break. We lose this one, but as I said, with Newcastle and Arsenal coming up straight after the international break, we lose this one. We probably find ourselves in the bottom three in 4 weeks' time. Yeah, and that's the thing. This game against this side, and there's no disrespect to Everton, but we've got to be looking to beat these teams, same way they're looking at us as a game that they've got to win. And it gives us a bit of daylight between us and that bottom three, so to speak.
Yeah,
It puts
yeah.
it
And
puts four or 5 points clear, obviously depending on the weekend fixtures. And from what I'm seeing, Dan, we need that buffer because I can't see us getting much change out of Newcastle and Arsenal.
no, no, exactly. So yeah, there's so much there
Mm,
at stake, and like you said, along that there was reports from Clarence Hughes, Sean Whetstone, that he needs a convincing win to save his job, right? I don't buy that David Sullivan would sack a manager who's just, if like, even if we scrape to win,
Yep.
But I just feel like, for me, if we play Everton at home and we have another performance where we put out a crap starting 11, we start the game slowly, we concede chance after chance after chance, create very little,
Mm.
but somehow manage to get the win, I'm not going to feel good about it. I'm not going to feel confident in
Ah,
this team. I feel happy to get 3 points, but I'm not going to feel like, yes, we're clicking, it's getting closer, we're going somewhere.
yeah.
And that's my problem with it.
Do you,
So yeah, I do worry for this game.
yeah, do you think, looking back in a way, the second half performance against Manchester United papered over the cracks of how bad we actually have been?
Yeah, I think it did in a ways. Like I said, the second half was great. We did concede a lot of chances in the first half,
Mm.
a lot of chances. Once again, it's these substitutions that bail us out. We got very fortunate. They missed an open goal, hit the post, hit the crossbar, all of that stuff. Great saves by Fabianski as well in that first half. And then the second half comes in, and he makes the changes, and all of a sudden we look better. We look a threat. Somerville comes on and looks great. And you think, okay, start Somerville. But guess what? He starts Somerville, but then plays a back five the next game.
Exactly.
So just changes the system instead of going with the team that performed so well in the second half in the same system and the same team. He just changes it
Mm.
the next game,
Yeah.
something different. It's like, okay, Somerville can play, but we're not going to play the same system. We're not going to play the same setup. It's just baffling to me.
Yeah.
Like,
And this
and
is the
that's
thing,
why
mate.
I hate
This
it.
is what we said about partnerships and consistency, and what we need to see. We need to start building these partnerships, and the chopping and changing isn't help. Oh, I know Talibo, in a way, was picked up the knock against before the United game, so that kept him out of the starting 11, so to speak, in that. But then, like you said, he then changes to the back five for the Forest game, which, like you, mate, I think if the way we ended the Manchester United game, look, there's no guarantees in football, but we were much, much better in that second half. And that starting 11 then you was justified to put into the starting 11 for the Forest game. And again, he chopped and changed, done things a bit differently. And I said this, and I know that scoreline says itself, Forest's performance says itself, but we didn't play well. And this is the problem. We're not playing well, and we're making teams look a lot better than what they are. Right? I know Forest have
Yeah,
had a great start, and people are going to probably pop up and say things in the comments, but at the end of the day, if we're not performing, teams like Forest are going to look really good. And I still hold my hands up and say that their win against Liverpool was lucky. Look, they've had some good games, but they've only beaten sides that they should beat. But the
yeah,
one thing I will say with Forest, they look like a team. They look like a team playing for each other. At the moment,
yeah,
like we said about Manchester United going into that game, they're a bunch of individuals playing a team sport. We look exactly the same. Only a few
yeah.
players you can sit there are playing for the badge, playing for the club, playing for the manager, and a lot of them are not.
Yeah, no, that's it, mate. And this is the thing. There's been suggestion. I think Soler come out a few weeks ago in an interview and said, it's taking us some time to get on board with what the manager's trying to do, trying to change to play a new way, and all of that stuff. And I always knew there'd be a period of transition. But what I don't get is 10 games in, coming up to 11 games in, like there's no sign of players adapting to this new way of play. And again, it's not like these players have never played attacking football. Like for Soler to say that after coming from PSG, I didn't watch much PSG last
Mm,
season, but it's not as if they was all playing Moyes ball last season. It's not
no.
as if Kilman and Tadibo, Soler, Somerville. Like it's not like they was all just playing the Moyes way. And the
Mhm.
players that we do have, you're telling me that Kudus and Paqueta and Bowen are struggling to adapt to a more attacking style of
Mm.
football. Like Kudus, it was only a couple of seasons ago. He was playing at Ajax,
Yeah,
playing great football.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Paqueta,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like these players, you're telling me that they're still struggling so much to adapt to playing a new way of playing that we're not seeing any improvements. Like they're still not getting it. It's still not clicking. This with a full preseason, 10 Premier League games. What was it like two cup games,
Yeah, two captains.
League
Yeah,
Cup games, and still no sign, and all the training sessions in between, no sign of adapting, no sign of getting a little bit better. I'm not saying that it should click and we smacking
no, of
teams,
course not.
but I'm saying like improvement. There's nothing. There's no way I look at this team and say, right, wow, from the first week to now, in these past months, look, they're far we've come. We're starting to see this again.
Mm,
Different light. It's all over the place. So
yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me.
no, and that's the worry, mate. And this is the thing: is we've said it before, we'll say it again. It's the lack of identity in the side. Obviously now we go into this game. We know, as you said at the start, Kudus has now got 2 extra games on top of the ban that he already had, so he's going to be missing for a while. And look, attacking wise, he's been our biggest threat, even though he's been playing out on the left, and we know we need him on the right in the way that we play. That's a big miss. Alvarez has got himself suspended again. Another silly red card. I think Paquetá might be missing in this one. I should have checked before we done this, but I think he picked up another booking, didn't he, on Saturday?
Oh yeah, we'll have to Paqueta. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
double.
see.
I'm not. I forgot to look, to be honest, but I think he could potentially be missing as well. But the way he's been of late, is that going to be a big miss? And this is the thing for me, that Everton are looking at this game and rubbing their hands together. They've picked themselves up a little bit. I know they lost at the weekend against Southampton. They only lost 1-0 in that game, but they've got the wins that they've got this season. They've lost one in their last six. Where as isn't as great reading as that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably a poor game. It's two teams that are struggling to score goals overall.
Mhm.
You know, and that's going to be the big thing. I think problem for us is we don't have any set piece threat
Nope.
at all,
No.
like none whatsoever. I don't think we've scored a single set piece this season.
Mm.
Which if you take away set pieces, which was one of our biggest threats in seasons gone by. And last season we weren't as potent. We
Yeah.
dropped down a bit on set pieces, but we are just toothless at
Mm.
set pieces. When you've got players like Antonio, Suchek, flipping Kilman, all these players that can be deadly in the
Yeah.
box.
Mavropanos.
I don't know whether Mavropanos,
Yeah.
Mavropanos.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's our tactics. I think the delivery as well,
Mm-hmm.
but it's poor. But the tactics in and around our set pieces seems way off.
Yep. Yeah.
And remove set pieces from the game completely, you're removing a big part of your goal scoring ability. Arsenal have got pretty much near enough most of their goals from set
Yeah,
pieces this season.
exactly. And the thing is as well, though, Dan, when you look at who has been a goal threat this season for us, it's been Danny Ings. Danny Ings has been a goal threat. Every time he's come on, he's looked a threat. He scored the goal when he come in the game that he come on and scored. It was a scuff shot, but he got the assist. But he's getting himself into the right positions, and we're not seeing that again with Antonio. And this is a problem. We're relying on an aging Antonio. Bowen's not. I still think Bowen's on a bit of a hangover from the summer. He played a lot of football last season. I don't think he's got up and going to his standards, but his performances are improving. I do again go back to the captaincy. I think that captaincy is weighing a little on his mind. So we still need him to sort of step up to the plate a bit more performance wise. But as I said, mate, it's really, really hard to see us getting a result in this game. It really is.
Yeah, but the way we're playing now, it is. Do you know what? I do feel like we will win. I do feel like we will win. Whether we look convincing is another story.
Mm.
And I think Paqueta is available. I've just had a
He
little.
is,
I
yeah.
think Paqueta is
He
available.
must, he must, he
Alvarez.
must be on 4 bookings in by now. I'm sure he's been booked quite a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah. I think he is. So
Yeah,
probably the next one he'll pick up his fifth in the Everton game. So he has to realise that the pressure is building and get to the drawing board and put out just a sensible team that can really create chances, really pose a threat
yeah,
to to them. Obviously, Alvarez isn't going to be in the game, so he's not going to be able to play his two defensive midfielders that he's
Mhm.
been playing.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very interesting to see what he does in the midfield, because our midfield has been probably our biggest weakness.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's
And the lack of pace in there, the lack of, anything, when you're sitting there and looking at when we talk about players that are goal threats, Thomas Suchek, his contributions towards the attack, and he's more classed as a holding midfielder. He's got a couple this season. He's been a threat. I think at one point he had created more goal scoring chances than any other player in the side. And then when you're looking at the creativity that we've got, and the fact in open play it's him who's created the most chances, it's really, really worrying. Really worrying. And you've got
would you sack him if we lose this game?
it, it's hard. It is hard because the next two fixtures are really tough, and be, because we're not seeing anything different, right? We're not seeing any change in philosophy, any change in styles of play. Look, I ain't the best at spotting styles of play. I understand the game, I get the game, but to me, the only thing we've done differently under him to what we did under Moyes was we've had a little more of the ball. We're not creating any more
Yeah.
chances than what we did or anything like that. We've had a bit more of the ball.
We're just passing it around in our own half,
Yeah.
is most of it.
Yeah, we're still static. We're still too deep at times. The gap between the midfield and the forwards and the midfield and the defence after time is far too big, and we're slow. That's what I've taken from what I see this season. So because I'm not seeing the identity, and he's had plenty of time to install an identity in the side, you have got to be. For me, he's on the chopping board if we lose this one. Really is.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just see a report from the Guardian to say that, and if we lose the game, so it's different from what Sean Whetstone said, which was if we don't win convincingly, if we draw. Guardian have said if we lose the game, his job's going to be under consideration.
Mm.
With an international break, it does give us time to go out there and get a new manager in.
And the
It's
thing is, Dan, there's managers out there. Look, they're not all my cup of tea of managers, but there is managers out there available. The funniest thing I've seen so far today is us being linked with Frank Lampard. I think that's hilarious. The guy's a failed manager everywhere he's gone, barring Derby. He had one good season at playing at managing Chelsea with somebody else's team. As soon as he started tinkering and bringing his own players in, it all fell apart. So
Yeah,
to
he kept Everton up that season. I'll credit him with that, but
yeah,
he's not
more,
the
more
he's just no near what we
more
need.
luck than judgment, I think, on that one, mate. To be honest.
Yeah, someone pointed out it's like our track record though with foreign managers, with like non-British managers, is pretty poor.
Mm.
Is pretty poor. Even though Bilic did give us a really good first
Yeah, yeah,
season,
yeah.
we've been burnt there. It seems to go wrong for us, but English managers as a whole don't perform great in the league.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a tough one. I would hope that we have a list of name styles and we'll have names and alternatives and backups in place should this go wrong,
Yeah.
because it's one of those ones. I don't think he was Stuyton's first choice. That was Amorim,
Mm.
but Sullivan didn't want to pay the release clause out. Didn't
No.
want to pay the 10 mil,
And this is
and
the
we are
thing,
where
mate.
we
This
are now.
this this is where now that look, if this is the one, barring for me, even a win in a way shouldn't really save it. It's got to be a performance. We've
Yeah,
got to see a performance. We've got to see an identity because you can take drawing or losing the game if you see progression, if you see that performance and that identity there. But I think it's too late for him to be able to afford this game, and it can't just be we need to win, we need to win, and we can play badly and win. We can't. We need to play well and win and be
yeah,
convincing on the pitch. We haven't got to win convincingly for 3 or 4 nil, but the performance has
yeah,
got to be a convincing performance.
yeah, exactly. And you know what? Like, it's all about the context. I would potentially take a really good performance, something we're just on top, and maybe we just haven't taken our chances. We've
Yeah.
hit the crossbar, we missed some good chances, and maybe they just end up, getting a lucky goal and we don't get the result. If I saw that, I'd be looking at the performance and saying,
Mm.
well, saw Anthony, he was attacking, was playing great stuff, was on it. It just wasn't our day. It didn't come off, but
Yeah.
I see improvement. I wouldn't, I would be, all right in a way. I still wouldn't be happy that we didn't win,
Hmm.
but I'd be like, okay, we've seen the performance there. We've seen us play well finally, completely. And again, not needing our substitutions to bail us out, but actually
Yeah.
starting the game well in the first half. That's really what I want to see in this game.
Yeah.
Us coming out, having a good first half without every time we're looking at it and going, oh, we need to take him off, him off, him off. And we're seeing triple substitutions at half time. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. We've got to
that's
dominate. That's the thing. It's dominate. So
yeah,
before we look at picking what our starting 11s would be, obviously this was the last week we did the fan team
yeah.
challenge. For those of you who've been waiting to find out who the loser was, it wasn't even either of us. You know,
No,
once again,
Ryan and Nicky.
yes, Nikki finished bottom of the pile once again. I finished top of the tree 2 weeks on the spin. Nikki's been bottom of the tree. So Nikki and Ryan will be doing a forfeit. Nikki's got to do two forfeits on the spin. So make sure you check out Friday Night Pint, and hopefully you'll see at least one of those forfeits, and you'll find out some more information. But me and Dan are
Yes,
going to
Nicky
be
tried
joining Night at the
to.
Races next week.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, Nicky tried to weasel his way out the last one, so he'll be doing that. Me and you, this week's one, it was the top two get the luxury prize, and the
Yes.
bottom two, get the forfeit. And that happened to be Nicky and Ryan, and then me and Scott got the luxury prize. I haven't done a single forfeit. I haven't come bottom once. I'm happy that we end it, and I can safely say that.
Yep.
And yeah, Nicky is just terrible considering he had the most confidence coming in at the start of this. Do you know what I mean? He had the most talk,
Yep.
and now look at him.
And we've
Forfeit after forfeit after
forfeit.
forfeit. And you started terribly, Scott. That first week, you was horrendous, but you bounced back, and you've done well.
There you go, mate. Learn from my earlier mistakes.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Chris Wood. You know what? Do you know what the thing is? Yeah, me and you were the only ones that put Chris Wood in
Yeah.
the side,
Yeah.
and that got us some serious points. So every cloud and all that.
That's it, mate. That's it. But going into this one, what would you like to see starting 11 wise from us?
Yeah, right. Off the top of my head, starting 11 wise, I think Areola's injured.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's had a knock or something. So Fabianski in goal.
Yep.
Yeah, back four picks itself: Emerson, Max Kilman, Tadibo, Wan-Bissaka.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of the park, I'm gonna go Rodriguez and Soler
Yep.
for this one, and then I'm gonna go with Somerville on the left,
Yep.
Paqueta in the 10,
Yep.
Bowen on the right, and Antonio up top, because who else we're going to play in that way? Like I said, I would lean towards Danny Ings, but in this system, it's just, yeah, it's a tough one. I would like to at least see Danny Ings come off the bench if we need him,
Yeah.
or even if we don't need him and we're comfortable, just bring him on the bench, give him some minutes, give him some confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. Mate, I agree with you with the back line, the goalkeeper. I think going back to the four at the back, Fabianski, the same back four as you. For me, Souček has to come into the middle to add a bit.
I knew it. I knew you was going to put him there.
Yeah, he needs to come in with Rodriguez. I put Soler in the 10, Somerville out left, Bowen out on the right, and Antonio up top. I think Paquetá not offering enough on the ball, off the ball. He's way off the ball. Obviously, all this betting stuff's weighing on his mind far too much. We're not seeing the performances that we should. I doubt he'll even play for Brazil in the upcoming fixtures that they've got. So I think he just needs a break, and it can start this week because he's not offering us anything in the games at the moment. And he should be our most creative player, and we're not seeing that. So that's what I'd go for personally. But we'll have to wait and see. I've got this funny feeling Lopetegui might go with his five at the back again. I really have.
Really don't want to see that. I'm not a fan of. I know Amarim plays that.
Yeah.
Was in with him, but I'm just not a fan of that, to be honest with you. Or when I've seen it at West Ham, I've not been a fan of it.
I think the thing for me is though, mate, is Wan-Bissaka is such a good right back. You know, and I think we've seen it. You know, I know I've said he's probably been signed to play more as a wing back than a right back, but he's such a good right back defensively that he gets caught so far up the pitch because he is pushing forward so much. You know, and that's something we've got to work on as well. You know, having our holding midfielder cover. I liked the one thing I did like. I think it was in the second half against Manchester United is when Alvarez was dropping in as that third centre half when the fullbacks were pushing forward. You know, I like to see that because that's the holding midfielder doing the right thing, either dropping in as a third centre half, so you've got the cover there, or as I said, protecting the two centre halves by working side to side. So, yeah, that's where we need to improve for me. But yeah, that's what I'll go for. What you thinking score predictions, mate?
I'm going to say 1-0 West Ham. I can see it's being a 1-0. It's not going to be the dominant performance we need. I don't think it's just going to be just one of them just dead games.
Yeah.
It's going to be a boring game, and we're going to sneak it 1-0.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting it to be an awful game of football, mate, to be honest. And I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. And I think we're going to luckily nick a result. So I'm going to say a 2-1 win.
2-1 win, the old 2-1.
Yeah.
Listen, let's hope we're right either way, and we do see a win and a good performance.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll be there, mate. Me and you.
That's it, mate. We'll be there on the day. We'll be there for fan cams afterwards as well. So come and find us outside the ground, not far from the West Ham shop. As I said, we'll be there. Come rain or shine, come win or lose, we'll definitely be there after the game. Yeah. So Dan, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a bit of a long one tonight. Makes a change.
Yeah, mate. It's been so much to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And not
so
all
let's
good,
just
unfortunately.
not all well, not hardly anything good.
Yeah.
But let's keep the faith.
That's it, mate.
West Ham win going into the international break be huge. Get us a bit higher up that table, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely, mate. But yeah, thank you very much, Sean. Thank you, everyone else, for watching. Make sure you check out all our other match day content. As I said, we'll be there doing fan cams after the game. We'll be doing a reaction as well. Friday night pint, and then I will be back with the next big match preview after the international break, building it up to the Newcastle game. But yeah, one thing left to say, mate.
Come on, you Lions.